When experienced hikers venture into the wilderness, they expect challenges. But these 6 cases represent the most disturbing hiker deaths, where even seasoned adventurers met their end in ways that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about nature's fury. It was October 15, 2017, when Sarah Chen made the decision that would define her final day on Earth. The 28-year-old software engineer had been struggling with depression since losing her job at a tech startup 3 months ago. Hiking had become her refuge, a way to quiet the relentless thoughts that plagued her sleepless nights. Sarah was methodical by nature, but lately, that same analytical mind had turned against her. Mount Katahdin represented more than just another hike for Sarah. Completing the northern terminus of the Appalachian Trail before winter felt like reclaiming control over her life. At 5:30 a.m., she parked at Baxter State Park, informing rangers of her planned 6 p.m. return. The morning air was crisp at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and weather reports promised clear skies. Sarah's GPS device bore a spiderweb crack across its screen. The battery indicator flickered unreliably between half full and nearly dead. A more cautious person might have postponed the trip, but Sarah's determination overrode her usual prudence. She needed this victory, this proof that she could still accomplish something meaningful. The ascent proceeded smoothly for 7 hours. Sarah's legs found their rhythm on the rocky terrain, despite the 4,000-foot elevation gain. By 2 p.m., she stood triumphant on Katahdin's 5,267-foot summit, the vast Maine wilderness stretching endlessly below. Then the weather turned violent. The storm system racing down from Canada arrived 3 hours ahead of predictions. Visibility dropped to mere feet as 60-mile-per-hour winds transformed the mountain into a frozen hellscape. Temperature plummeted to 15 degrees Fahrenheit, and Sarah's exposed skin began stinging within minutes. Her triumph dissolved into terror. Disoriented in the whiteout conditions, Sarah descended what she believed was the Hunt Trail. Instead, she had veered onto an unmarked path leading toward the remote Klondike area, 2.3 miles from her intended route. Her cracked GPS provided no assistance, its screen now completely dark. The cold seeped through her layers, and hypothermia began its insidious work, clouding her judgment. Her fingers, now useless claws, couldn't operate her smartphone. Each step became a monumental effort as her body diverted blood flow from her limbs to protect vital organs. Sarah's analytical mind began shutting down as her core temperature dropped below 95 degrees. The hidden ravine appeared without warning. One moment she was navigating between snow-covered boulders. The next she was tumbling through space. The 30-foot fall ended with a sickening crack as her left femur snapped against granite. Her head struck a protruding rock, opening a gash that immediately began bleeding profusely. Trapped at the bottom with a shattered leg and severe head trauma, Sarah faced the cruel mathematics of survival. The walls rose too steeply to climb. Her voice, weakened by hypothermia and blood loss, couldn't carry above the howling wind. Over the next 18 hours, Sarah drifted in and out of consciousness as hypothermia and traumatic brain injury slowly claimed her life. Her final thoughts likely centered on the cruel irony that her quest for healing had led to this lonely end. Search and rescue teams launched their operation when Sarah failed to return. For 3 days, they combed the mountain using ground teams and helicopter thermal imaging. The discovery came on October 18th, when infrared cameras detected her body's fading heat signature in the remote ravine. The medical examiner's report listed combined hypothermia and traumatic brain injury as the cause of death. Sarah's GPS device showed her final ping 2.3 miles from the intended trail, confirming her fatal wrong turn. Sarah's death prompted immediate policy changes at Baxter State Park. Solo hikers now face mandatory GPS beacon requirements. Her story serves as a sobering reminder that mountains show no mercy to the unprepared, regardless of their experience or determination. It was July 4th, 2014, when Marcus and Jennifer Rodriguez embarked on what should have been a celebratory anniversary hike through Big Bend National Park's unforgiving desert terrain. The couple, ages 34 and 31 respectively, had chosen this challenging adventure to mark their 5th year of marriage in a way that reflected their shared love of fitness and the outdoors. Marcus, a dedicated CrossFit trainer from San Antonio, possessed the kind of muscular build and competitive spirit that made him believe he could conquer any physical challenge. His wife, Jennifer, a compassionate emergency room nurse, brought both medical knowledge and remarkable endurance to their outdoor adventures. Both considered themselves exceptionally fit, having completed multiple marathons and rock climbing expeditions together. Their ambitious plan involved tackling the grueling 12-mile outer mountain loop trail, starting before dawn at 6 a.m. to beat the desert heat. The weather forecast predicted temperatures soaring to 105 degrees Fahrenheit by afternoon, yet the confident couple packed only 3 liters of water between them, severely underestimating the desert's brutal demands. Jennifer had recently started new blood pressure medication, though neither fully understood how it would amplify dehydration risks in extreme heat. The morning began promisingly as they set out under starlit skies, their headlamps cutting through the darkness. By sunrise, they were making good progress across the rocky terrain, sharing stories and planning future adventures. However, as the sun climbed higher, the desert began revealing its merciless nature. By 10 a.m., temperatures had already reached 98 degrees Fahrenheit, and both hikers were displaying early warning signs of heat exhaustion. Their conversation became labored, sweat production decreased despite the rising heat, and their pace slowed considerably. Marcus, typically the stronger hiker, began experiencing severe muscle cramps around mile 8. The situation deteriorated rapidly when Marcus suddenly collapsed, his body racked with violent vomiting and uncontrollable muscle spasms. Jennifer immediately shifted into her nursing mode, recognizing the dangerous symptoms of severe heat exhaustion. Progressing toward heat stroke, she made the critical decision to give Marcus their remaining water while attempting to create shade using their backpacks and clothing. As Jennifer worked desperately to cool her husband, the medication in her system accelerated her own dehydration. The desert heat became overwhelming as she tried signaling passing aircraft by waving her shirt overhead, hoping someone would spot them in the vast wilderness. Her efforts proved futile as heat stroke claimed her consciousness. Marcus's core body temperature reached a fatal 108 degrees Fahrenheit, causing multiple organ systems to shut down. He died from hyperthermia as his body could no longer regulate its temperature. Jennifer survived 2 additional hours before succumbing to complete organ failure, her body unable to recover from the severe dehydration and heat exposure. Park rangers discovered their bodies 36 hours later, following a missing persons report filed by concerned family members when the couple failed to return home. The subsequent autopsy revealed blood sodium levels indicating catastrophic dehydration in both victims, confirming that inadequate water supplies had sealed their fate. This tragedy prompted significant changes in Big Bend National Park safety protocols. New guidelines now require hikers to carry specific water quantities based on trail length and weather conditions, with mandatory check-ins during summer months when temperatures exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The Rodriguez tragedy serves as a stark reminder that even experienced, physically fit individuals cannot underestimate the desert's lethal power, where preparation and respect for nature's extremes mean the difference between adventure and disaster. It was February 22, 2016, when 2 ambitious climbers from Sacramento set out to conquer Mount Shasta's treacherous Avalanche Gulch in the dead of winter. David McGuire, 29, was a methodical mechanical engineer whose analytical mind had served him well on countless rock faces throughout Northern California. His climbing partner, Alex Thompson, 26, brought a different energy to their partnership. As a paramedic, Alex possessed quick reflexes and medical knowledge that had proven invaluable during their previous adventures together. Both men were regulars at their local climbing clubs, known for their technical skills on granite walls, but winter mountaineering remained uncharted territory for the duo. The avalanche danger that morning was rated considerable, but David's engineering background led him to believe their chosen route would avoid the most hazardous slopes. Alex, ever the optimist, trusted his partner's calculations completely. Neither man had invested in formal avalanche safety training, viewing it as unnecessary for what they planned as a single-day summit attempt. At 3 a.m., they began their ascent carrying minimal overnight gear, confident in their ability to reach the 14,179-foot summit and return before nightfall. The temperature hovered around -10 degrees Fahrenheit, but both men felt prepared for the challenge ahead. 8 hours into their climb, at approximately 11,000 feet, disaster struck without warning. While traversing a steep snow slope that appeared stable, David's footsteps triggered a slab avalanche. The mountain's recent wind loading had created an unstable layer of snow that gave way beneath their combined weight. David disappeared instantly under 4 feet of dense snow, while Alex was swept 200 feet down the mountainside like a rag doll. The paramedic's body slammed repeatedly against exposed rocks during his violent descent, resulting in a compound fracture of his right tibia and a dislocated shoulder that left his arm hanging uselessly at his side. Despite his injuries, Alex's medical training kicked in. He knew David had perhaps 15 minutes before asphyxiation would claim his life beneath the snow. Fighting through excruciating pain, Alex attempted to locate his buried partner, but without proper rescue equipment like avalanche probes or beacons, his efforts proved futile. The snow had settled into a concrete-like density, making excavation with bare hands impossible. As precious minutes ticked away, Alex realized David's fate was sealed. His own survival now depended on getting off the mountain, but his broken leg made movement agonizing. The sub-zero temperatures began sapping his body heat rapidly, and hypothermia set in within hours. Alex's paramedic training told him exactly what was happening to his body as his core temperature dropped. His shivering became uncontrollable, then stopped altogether as his body began shutting down non-essential functions. Confusion clouded his thoughts as his brain struggled with diminishing oxygen supply. David had already succumbed to asphyxiation within 15 minutes of burial, his analytical mind perhaps calculating his own demise as consciousness faded. Alex fought for 6 grueling hours before exposure claimed him, his body found curled in a desperate attempt to conserve warmth. Mountain rescue teams launched a search operation when the men failed to return, but harsh weather conditions delayed their efforts. After 2 days of systematic searching using avalanche probes, both bodies were recovered from the unforgiving slopes of Mount Shasta. The subsequent investigation revealed that recent wind patterns had loaded unstable snow onto the slope where the avalanche occurred. Both families channeled their grief into advocacy, pushing for mandatory avalanche education requirements for winter climbing permits. Their efforts ensured that David and Alex's deaths would serve as a warning to future mountaineers about respecting the deadly power of avalanche terrain. The Mount Shasta incident remains a stark reminder that technical climbing skills alone cannot substitute for specialized winter mountaineering knowledge and proper safety equipment. It was August 12, 2015, when the Morrison family from Phoenix embarked on what should have been another memorable day of their annual southwestern adventure. Robert Morrison, a 42-year-old real estate agent with an infectious enthusiasm for the outdoors, had planned this trip meticulously. His wife Linda, 39, taught 5th grade and shared his passion for exploring Arizona's natural wonders. Their 12-year-old twins, Emma and Ethan, buzzed with excitement about capturing the perfect Instagram-worthy shots they'd seen flooding their social media feeds. The family considered themselves seasoned outdoor enthusiasts. Robert's confident demeanor and Linda's methodical planning had successfully guided them through countless hiking adventures. Emma, the more adventurous twin, carried her new camera with determination, while Ethan, quieter but equally curious, studied the geological formations with fascination. At 2 p.m., despite flash flood warnings issued that morning, the Morrisons entered Antelope Canyon independently. Local Navajo guides had suspended all tours due to threatening weather conditions 15 miles upstream, but Robert dismissed the concerns. His real estate background had taught him to assess risks, and the clear skies above seemed to contradict the warnings. The Slot Canyon's beauty initially justified their decision. Towering sandstone walls rose 40 feet on both sides, creating a narrow corridor barely 3 feet wide in some sections. Emma snapped photos of the dancing light beams while Ethan marveled at the smooth, wave-like rock formations carved by centuries of water flow. Then nature demonstrated its terrifying power. A thunderstorm 15 miles upstream had unleashed torrential rainfall, sending a 6-foot wall of churning water racing through the canyon system. The family heard the approaching roar too late. Within minutes, the peaceful corridor transformed into a deadly trap. Robert's protective instincts kicked in immediately. As water levels rose rapidly, he hoisted both children onto his shoulders, his real estate agent's steady hands now trembling with desperation. Linda, caught off guard by the sudden surge, fought against the powerful current that swept her toward the unforgiving canyon walls. The water continued rising relentlessly, 8 feet deep, then 10, then 12. Linda disappeared first, her teacher's voice calling out instructions to stay calm before being silenced by the churning torrent. The impact against the sandstone walls proved fatal. Robert struggled to keep Emma and Ethan above the rising water, but the narrow canyon offered no escape routes. His strength, built from years of showing properties and weekend hikes, proved insufficient against nature's overwhelming force. When the water level exceeded 12 feet, completely filling the canyon space, all 3 remaining family members succumbed to the flood. Emergency responders worked tirelessly over 3 days as floodwaters gradually receded. All 4 bodies were eventually found, bringing closure to the extended Morrison family and their Phoenix community. The tragedy sparked immediate changes. Stricter access controls were implemented. A comprehensive flash flood warning system was installed at all major canyon entrances, featuring real-time weather updates and automated alerts. The Morrison family's story became an integral part of mandatory safety briefings for future canyon visitors. Their experience serves as a permanent reminder that nature's beauty often conceals deadly power, and that weather conditions miles away can instantly transform peaceful exploration into fatal catastrophe. It was September 3, 2013, when 5 Boston University students embarked on what should have been a routine weekend hiking trip to Mount Washington, New Hampshire. The group belonged to the university's outdoor recreation club, eager to tackle New England's most notorious peak. Jake Sullivan, 21, led the expedition. A senior studying environmental science and part-time outdoor gear shop employee, Jake possessed extensive hiking experience, but lacked formal wilderness leadership certification. Maria Santos, 20, a pre-med student working as a campus tour guide, brought infectious enthusiasm despite limited mountain experience. Kevin Chen, 19, a computer science freshman and avid rock climber, treated every outdoor adventure like a technical challenge. Amy Foster, 20, studied journalism while working at the campus newspaper. Her methodical nature made her the group's unofficial safety coordinator. Ryan Murphy, 21, a business major and weekend ski instructor, possessed solid outdoor instincts but struggled with group dynamics. The morning forecast showed possible afternoon thunderstorms, but clear skies encouraged their early departure. They planned to ascend via the Tuckerman Ravine Trail, summiting by noon, then descending before predicted weather arrived. None carried adequate rain gear or understood lightning safety protocols for exposed alpine terrain. The group maintained a steady pace through lower elevations, spirits high despite Jake's increasingly aggressive timeline. Maria struggled with technical sections but pushed forward. Kevin documented everything with his camera, treating the hike like a personal achievement. By 1 p.m., they reached the summit just as thunderclouds began forming with alarming speed. The weather observatory offered temporary shelter, but Jake grew impatient as precious daylight disappeared. When storms appeared to pass, he made the fatal decision to continue across the exposed alpine garden area rather than waiting for complete clearance. Amy voiced concerns about the darkening sky, but group momentum overruled caution. Ryan noticed his hair standing on end but dismissed it as static. The metallic taste in the air went unrecognized as nature's final warning. The lightning strike occurred without warning. A massive bolt hit the group while crossing the most exposed section of alpine terrain. Jake, Maria, and Kevin were killed instantly, their bodies found clustered together where the electrical current had traveled through the ground. The devastating power of nature had claimed 3 young lives in milliseconds. Amy and Ryan survived with severe burns and cardiac arrhythmias, their lives saved by slightly different positioning when lightning struck. Despite excruciating pain, they managed to activate their emergency beacon and provide GPS coordinates to rescue teams. Emergency responders reached the scene within 2 hours via helicopter, battling continuing storms and treacherous conditions. The rescue operation itself became dangerous as additional lightning threatened the area. The tragedy sent shockwaves through Boston University's community. The incident prompted comprehensive changes to university outdoor programs. New lightning safety requirements became mandatory, including weather monitoring protocols and emergency shelter procedures. A lightning detection system was installed along popular Mount Washington hiking routes, providing real-time warnings to future hikers. The Mount Washington tragedy serves as a stark reminder that nature's power demands absolute respect. 5 young adults began that September morning with excitement in their hearts. By evening, 3 families were forever changed, and 2 survivors faced a lifetime of processing and unimaginable loss. It was July 20th, 2018, when 4 friends from Seattle embarked on what should have been the adventure of a lifetime in Denali National Park, Alaska. Leslie Kim, 26, a software engineer with a methodical approach to everything, had spent months planning their 10-day wilderness expedition. Her meticulous nature made her the group's natural navigator, though she'd never encountered anything like Alaska's unpredictable rivers. Mike Rodriguez, 28, worked as a paramedic and brought medical expertise to their adventures. His calm demeanor under pressure had saved them from minor scrapes before, but nothing had prepared him for what lay ahead. Ashley Chen, 24, a graphic designer with an infectious enthusiasm for the outdoors, was the group's morale booster. Despite being the youngest, her fearless attitude often led her to take risks the others might avoid. Brad Wilson, 30, a construction foreman and the most physically strong of the group, naturally assumed the role of protector, always ensuring everyone's safety on their weekend hiking trips around Washington state. All four were seasoned Pacific Northwest hikers, comfortable with steep terrain and unpredictable weather, but none had training in swift water rescue or technical river crossing techniques. They'd researched the popular Teclanica River ford, reading online forums where other hikers described it as challenging but manageable during normal summer conditions. What they hadn't anticipated was the unusual weather pattern that summer. Heavy rains throughout the region had swollen rivers far beyond typical July levels. When they reached the crossing point, the Teclanica was running at flood stage, 4 feet deep with an 8-mile-per-hour current carrying dangerous debris downstream. Leslie, ever the planner, suggested they wait for conditions to improve, but their tight schedule and limited supplies pushed them forward. The water looked deceptively manageable from the bank. Following advice from hiking forums, Leslie and Mike connected themselves with a climbing rope around their waists, planning to cross together for mutual support. The moment Leslie stepped into the current, the river's true power became apparent. The frigid water, running at 38 degrees, immediately began sapping her strength. Within seconds, the currents swept her downstream. The rope connecting her to Mike became a death trap, pulling him into the torrent as his pack's weight dragged him under. Ashley, watching in horror from the bank, instinctively grabbed for the rope to help pull them back. The current's force yanked her into the water as well. Brad, seeing all three friends in mortal danger, abandoned caution and plunged in after them. The combination of hypothermic water, heavy backpacks, and powerful current proved fatal. Within 15 minutes, all four friends had drowned. Leslie and Mike succumbed first, pulled underwater by their waterlogged packs while still connected by rope. Ashley and Brad followed quickly, their bodies shutting down in the brutally cold water before they could reach safety. Park rangers discovered their bodies scattered along 2 miles of riverbank over the following week. The investigation revealed the river was running at its highest level in 5 years due to the unusual rainfall pattern that summer. Their tragic deaths prompted significant changes in park policy. Denali now requires river crossing safety courses for backcountry permits in flood-prone areas. Warning signs and river gauges were installed at all major crossings, providing real-time water level information to prevent future tragedies. The four friends had come to Alaska seeking adventure and challenge, but they encountered forces beyond their Pacific Northwest experience. Their story serves as a stark reminder that wilderness skills don't always transfer between regions, and that nature's power can overwhelm even the most prepared adventurers when conditions exceed normal parameters. If these disturbing hiker deaths shocked you, click the next video now because we've uncovered even more chilling cases that will haunt you long after watching.